Did Formula One deliver the billion-dollar economic windfall Las Vegas was promised? Or did residents pay the real price while corporations collected the profits? When F1 roared onto the Strip in November 2023, city officials projected massive tourism revenue, thousands of jobs, and a transformation of Las Vegas into a premier motorsports destination. 2 years later, the reality looks dramatically different from the marketing brochures. From 8 months of construction chaos that crippled local businesses to viewing barriers that blocked public access, the gap between F1's promises and its actual economic impact reveals uncomfortable truths about who truly benefits when mega events come to town. The construction crisis, when infrastructure disruption becomes economic devastation. The financial toll of F1's construction phase extends far beyond inconvenience into genuine economic harm for Las Vegas businesses and residents. Starting in April 2023, the 8-month construction period transformed the Strip into what local business owners described as an economic dead zone. Strip repaving alone consumed over 4 months, with entire sections of Las Vegas Boulevard reduced to single-lane traffic that created gridlock extending into residential neighborhoods miles from the actual race circuit. Small businesses along the 3.8-mile F1 course reported revenue declines averaging 30 to 40% during construction months compared to the previous year. Ellis Island Casino, a local institution just off the Strip, publicly stated their losses exceeded $400,000 during the construction period. The Tuscany Suites and Casino went so far as to file a lawsuit against F1 and Clark County, claiming public nuisance and seeking damages for lost business during construction. The disruption wasn't limited to the Strip's tourist corridor. The F1 circuit extends behind the main tourist areas into neighborhoods where locals work and live. Koval Lane, a critical north-south artery used by residents to avoid Strip traffic, became nearly impassable during peak construction. The economic ripple effect hit service workers hardest, those who depend on tips from tourists who simply stayed away during the construction chaos. Installing street lighting bright enough for nighttime racing required extensive electrical work that disrupted power to nearby buildings. Removing mature trees that had provided shade in front of the Bellagio fountains for decades eliminated natural cooling that reduced air conditioning costs for nearby businesses. The replacement trees, deliberately chosen for easy removal and replanting each year, cost taxpayers approximately $2.1 million annually to maintain this removable landscape system. What's remarkable about the construction timeline is how it reflects F1's bargaining power. While the first year took 8 months to prepare, subsequent years compressed setup to roughly 2 months starting in September. This improvement demonstrates that the extended initial timeline wasn't technical necessity, but rather the cost of learning, a cost borne entirely by local businesses that saw 2 tourism seasons severely disrupted. Ticket pricing and accessibility. The economics of exclusion. F1's pricing strategy in Las Vegas exposes the fundamental tension between maximizing revenue extraction and delivering promised economic benefits to the broader community. General admission tickets started at $500 for Thursday practice sessions, with Saturday race day GA tickets exceeding $1,700. Premium grandstand seats along the main straight commanded prices between $2,500 and $10,000 for a single day. The Bellagio Fountain Club viewing area charged upwards of $5,000 per person for the weekend. These prices didn't just limit attendance, they fundamentally altered who could participate in an event theoretically benefiting the entire Las Vegas community. Local residents, the very people who endured months of construction disruption, found themselves priced out of attending the race they'd sacrificed for. A family of 4 wanting to attend Saturday's race faced minimum costs exceeding $7,000 for tickets alone, before factoring in parking, food, or merchandise. For context, the median household income in Las Vegas is approximately $64,000 annually, meaning GA tickets for a family would consume over 10% of a typical family's entire yearly income. The economic logic behind these prices reveals F1's actual strategy. Rather than creating broad-based tourism that benefits hotels, restaurants, and local businesses across the city, F1 targets ultra-high net worth individuals who generate maximum revenue per square foot of grandstand space. This approach concentrates economic benefits benefits among a narrow band of luxury service providers while providing minimal spillover to the broader tourism economy. Data from the inaugural race weekend showed that while total visitor spending reached impressive numbers, the spending was highly concentrated in premium establishments. Mid-range hotels on the Strip actually saw occupancy declines during race weekend compared to typical November weekends, as budget-conscious tourists avoided Vegas entirely due to inflated prices across the board. The viewing barriers erected on pedestrian bridges weren't just about crowd control, they were revenue protection. In any other city, race organizers accept that some percentage of the public will watch for free from public vantage points. F1 in Las Vegas went to extraordinary lengths to eliminate free viewing entirely, even positioning security guards to prevent people from riding escalators up and down to catch glimpses of cars passing below. This level of access restriction is virtually unprecedented for a race held on public streets in an American city. What would you pay to watch a race on public streets in your own city? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm genuinely curious whether this pricing seems reasonable or completely disconnected from reality. The infrastructure barriers, monetizing public space. The metal viewing barriers installed on pedestrian bridges represent something more significant than mere crowd control. They symbolize the privatization of public space for corporate profit. Las Vegas pedestrian bridges have traditionally served as free public viewpoints for Strip spectacles, from New Year's Eve fireworks to various parades and events. The decision to block these views with metal barricades fundamentally altered the social contract between the city and its residents. Clark County spent approximately $3.2 million installing and maintaining these viewing barriers across the race circuit. This expenditure comes from public funds, meaning taxpayers subsidize the infrastructure that prevents them from freely viewing a race held on public streets. The barriers aren't temporary chain link fencing, but substantial metal structures designed to completely obscure sightlines, often featuring solid metal panels rather than even mesh screening. These barriers create legal and precedent concerns that affect future public space usage. By establishing that private entities can effectively commandeer public infrastructure and restrict access for commercial purposes, F1 in Las Vegas sets a concerning precedent. What prevents future event organizers from demanding similar restrictions? If residents accept blocked bridge access for F1, the city's negotiating position weakens when the next major event demands public space accommodations. The barriers also generated unexpected secondary economic effects. Some enterprising locals attempted to rent out balconies and rooftops with race views, only to discover that F1's lawyers had negotiated restrictions with property owners in advance. The Cosmopolitan faced contractual limitations on what they could offer balcony guests during race weekend. This level of control over private property viewing rights is extraordinarily rare for public street events in America, revealing the extraordinary power F1 wielded in negotiations with the city and private property owners alike. The entertainment economy, winners and losers in F1's shadow. The entertainment and hospitality venue economics surrounding F1 reveal stark divisions between properties that won access to F1's ecosystem and those shut out. Venues like F1 Arcade, which opened a massive 21,000 square foot space with 87 racing simulators, represent the new entertainment model aligned with F1's brand. These establishments benefit from direct F1 licensing agreements, official branding, and coordinated marketing that drives high-spending customers through their doors. F1 Arcade's pricing reflects this premium positioning. 3 races cost $26 to $32 depending on time of day, with 5 race packages reaching $45 during evening hours. The Grand Prix Plaza, another official F1 venue, exemplifies how the event creates new tourism infrastructure specifically designed around racing culture. Opening in spring 2025, the plaza occupies the actual paddock area used during race weekend, offering go-kart experiences with DRS technology and LED steering wheel displays during non-race months. However, access costs premium prices that continue the pattern of catering to high-spending tourists rather than local families. Contrast these winners with traditional Las Vegas entertainment venues without direct F1 partnerships. Older casinos on or near the Strip that lacked the capital to invest in F1-themed renovations found themselves competing for tourist dollars against venues offering official F1 connections. While ultra-luxury properties like Wynn, Aria, and Cosmopolitan saw occupancy rates above 95% during race weekend at significantly elevated room rates, mid-tier properties like Harrah's and Flamingo saw occupancy barely above normal November averages. This bifurcation reveals something critical about F1's economic model. It doesn't lift all boats. Instead, it creates a high watermark that only certain vessels can reach. Restaurant economics tell a similar story. High-end establishments with race view locations or F1 partnerships thrived, while mid-range restaurants away from the circuit struggled with reduced foot traffic as tourists concentrated in race-adjacent areas. The entertainment venues that found the sweet spot were those offering indoor, all-inclusive race viewing experiences. Flight Club, featuring social darts, unlimited food and drinks, and excellent race views from Spring Mountain Road, sold out multiple sessions at premium prices. The 3-hour drink packages, 2-hour food packages, and indoor climate control addressed the core complaints about outdoor grandstand experiences: cold November weather, limited amenities, and repetitive viewing angles. The promised versus actual economic impact. When Las Vegas officials and F1 leadership announced the race partnership, the economic projections painted an extraordinary picture of prosperity. Initial estimates suggested the race would generate $1.3 billion in economic impact for the Las Vegas region. Governor Steve Sisolak proclaimed it would be the most lucrative weekend in Las Vegas history. Clark County officials projected over 100,000 visitors would descend on Vegas specifically for F1, booking hotels, dining at restaurants, and gambling in casinos beyond the race itself. The promised impact extended beyond the race weekend itself. Officials suggested F1's global television audience would provide hundreds of millions of dollars worth of destination marketing for Las Vegas. Now let's examine what actually happened. The inaugural 2023 race did attract approximately 315,000 attendees across the 3-day race weekend, an impressive number that exceeded initial projections. However, the economic impact story became considerably more complicated when independent analysts examined the data. The Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, initially eager to promote the race's success, became notably quieter about releasing detailed economic impact data as the reality emerged. What data did surface suggested total economic impact around $650 to $800 million, substantial but barely half the $1.3 billion projection. Here's where the economic analysis becomes truly revealing. Much of the reported impact came from one-time construction spending rather than recurring tourism revenue. When you strip out the infrastructure investment costs that won't repeat in subsequent years, the ongoing economic benefit to Las Vegas shrinks considerably. Additionally, the economic impact calculation includes F1's own spending on the event, meaning a significant portion of the benefit actually represents money F1 paid itself or its direct contractors, with limited spillover into the broader Las Vegas economy. The displacement effect further complicates the economic picture. November is typically a solid tourism month for Las Vegas, with comfortable weather and numerous conventions. Several major conventions that typically book November dates move to different months to avoid F1-related hotel price inflation and potential attendance complications. The lost convention revenue, from groups that would have filled hotels, restaurants, and entertainment venues for entire weeks rather than just a race weekend, offsets a portion of the F1 economic gain. Some analysts suggest the displacement effect could reduce net economic benefit by 30 to 40%. Employment data tells another complicated story. While F1 did create jobs, the nature and quality of that employment matters. Many positions were temporary, part-time roles paying hourly wages for race weekend work. Promised permanent employment in race operations and year-round F1-related tourism roles materialized in much smaller numbers than initial projections. The permanent jobs that did emerge concentrated in high-skill positions, engineers, event managers, hospitality directors, that largely went to external candidates rather than local workers seeking employment. The tax revenue picture adds another layer of complexity. Nevada doesn't have income tax, so the state's ability to capture tax revenue from F1's economic activity depends on sales taxes, hotel occupancy taxes, and gaming revenue. While these taxes did see increases during race weekend, they didn't meet projections for a simple reason. F1's negotiated deal with the state included significant tax incentives and breaks. The actual tax benefit to state and local government ended up considerably lower than the headline economic impact number suggested. When you subtract the public costs, construction disruption, infrastructure modifications, security and emergency services, and ongoing maintenance, the net fiscal benefit becomes even more modest. Perhaps most tellingly, local business surveys painted a mixed picture that contradicted the triumphant narrative. While some businesses near the race circuit reported record weekends, many others saw minimal impact or even revenue declines compared to typical November. The geographic concentration of economic benefit meant that properties directly along the race route captured most gains, while businesses just blocks away, close enough to face traffic disruptions but too far to benefit from race attendance, actually suffered net losses. This uneven distribution of benefits and costs creates winners and losers within the Las Vegas business community, undermining claims of broad-based economic prosperity from F1. The weather wildcard, when Mother Nature crashes the party. Las Vegas in November brings weather risks that add another dimension to F1's economic calculus. The inaugural 2023 race faced unseasonably cold temperatures, with evening practice sessions dropping into the low 40s. For fans sitting in metal grandstands with limited wind protection, these conditions transformed a premium experience into an endurance test. The 2024 race weekend brought rain, something Vegas receives only about 4 inches of annually. These weather challenges aren't incidental details. They're core economic factors that affect attendance, viewer experience, and ultimately the event's long-term viability. F1's decision to hold the race as a night event means fans sit outside during the coldest part of the day. Average November nighttime temperatures in Las Vegas range from 47 to 52 degrees Fahrenheit, but the 2023 race saw temperatures drop to 43 degrees Fahrenheit during the main event. When you're sitting stationary in metal grandstands paying premium prices, these aren't romantic autumn temperatures. They're genuinely uncomfortable conditions that diminish the experience. The weather risk extends beyond mere discomfort into legitimate safety and operational concerns. Rain creates dangerous conditions for F1 cars traveling at speeds exceeding 200 miles per hour. Each delay creates economic ripple effects, extended security and staffing costs, disrupted hotel checkout schedules, stressed transportation systems, and potentially disappointed fans who plan departures around original race timing. F1 has limited flexibility to adjust the race date. The Formula One calendar is extraordinarily complex, with races scheduled around the globe requiring careful sequencing. Moving the Las Vegas race to a more weather-friendly month like March or October would require renegotiating the entire end of the F1 season. The sport's commitment to ending the season in Abu Dhabi in late November effectively locks Vegas into a November date, weather risks notwithstanding. The future economic trajectory, sustainability questions. F1's long-term economic viability in Las Vegas hinges on whether subsequent years can maintain attendance and enthusiasm as novelty fades. The inaugural 2023 race benefited enormously from curiosity and first-year excitement. The 2024 race represented a crucial test. Would the event sustain interest, or would attendance decline as the novelty wore off? Early indications suggest a mixed picture. While official attendance figures remain strong, anecdotal reports from ticket resellers indicated increased availability and more price flexibility compared to the sold-out, premium price-only market of 2023. The economic model faces several sustainability challenges that will determine whether F1 delivers lasting benefits or proves a short-term spectacle. First, there's the question of whether Las Vegas can continue attracting the ultra-high net worth individuals who comprise F1's target demographic. F1 in Vegas competes with Monaco, Singapore, and other glamorous race locations for the attention and travel budgets of billionaires and centimillionaires. As the novelty of Vegas F1 fades, will these customers continue choosing Vegas over established European and Asian races? Second, the local Las Vegas market question remains unresolved. Can F1 cultivate a meaningful local fan base willing to attend races regularly, or will the event remain dependent on tourists? Traditional American motorsports built sustainable economics through local and regional fan loyalty. People who attend the Indianapolis 500 or Daytona 500 year after year, generation after generation. F1's premium pricing strategy and limited accessibility makes developing that kind of grassroots local following extremely difficult. Without local support, the event remains perpetually dependent on tourist interest, which can shift quickly based on trends, economic conditions, and alternative entertainment options. The infrastructure investment sustainability represents another crucial question. Las Vegas and Clark County made substantial public investments in infrastructure modifications to accommodate F1. These investments only make economic sense if the race continues for many years, allowing the long-term benefits to outweigh the upfront costs. F1's contract with Las Vegas reportedly runs initially through 2025, with options to extend. But what happens if either party decides the partnership isn't working? The specialized infrastructure, modified roads, removable tree systems, specific lighting configurations would have limited utility for other purposes, potentially leaving taxpayers holding the bag for stranded assets. The broader Las Vegas tourism economy sustainability question deserves consideration as well. Vegas increasingly positions itself as a premium destination targeting high-spending customers rather than middle-class tourists seeking affordable entertainment. F1 fits perfectly into this repositioning, but it's not yet clear whether this strategy will prove successful long-term. If middle-class tourists increasingly choose other destinations due to Vegas's rising costs, the city's tourism base could narrow dangerously, making it more vulnerable to economic downturns or shifts in wealthy consumer preferences. F1 accelerates this strategic shift for better or worse. Environmental sustainability represents the final challenge that could affect F1's economic future in Vegas. Formula One globally has made commitments to carbon neutrality and environmental responsibility. However, holding a race in a desert city already facing extreme water stress and heat island effects creates obvious tensions with these sustainability goals. The extensive cooling required for grandstands, facilities, and infrastructure during November, which increasingly sees temperatures in the 80s during daytime, consumes enormous energy. If environmental concerns increasingly influence major event hosting decisions, as appears likely, F1 in Vegas could face scrutiny that affects its long-term viability, regardless of pure economic calculations. Formula One's arrival in Las Vegas demonstrates the complex reality of mega-event economics in modern tourism destinations. The race delivered spectacular moments, created new entertainment infrastructure, and generated significant revenue for select stakeholders. However, the gap between promised economic benefits and actual impacts reveals important lessons about who truly profits when cities chase prestigious international events. Local businesses endured construction disruption, residents were priced out of public spaces, and the economic gains concentrated among a narrow band of luxury providers rather than spreading broadly through the community. As F1 enters its third year on the Strip, the fundamental question remains unanswered. Does the race serve Las Vegas, or does Las Vegas serve the race? The answer likely depends on whether you're a luxury hotel operator or a small business owner, a tourist with thousands to spend on race tickets, or a local resident navigating block streets. What's your take? Is F1 worth the disruption and costs? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more real economic analysis of what's really happening in Las Vegas beyond the marketing hype.